those guys, those rookies, the Pacom Daddiers, the Jacob Toppins, right? The Tyler Koleks, those young kids. He wants to get them that check. It means a lot to Brunson. And honestly, folks, it's going to mean a lot to this New York Knicks franchise that's never been back to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals since 1999.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Uncle Stevie can just walk up the aisle like he's at the supermarket. I'll get a starting pitcher here, I'll get a closer here, I'll get a first baseman here, and he'll just keep throwing things in the cart because there is no limit.
Now he's gone, so they got to go get arms to make that team better. Because the bottom line was they were just outclassed by the Dodgers. Let's face it, they got their ass beat.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text, put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, like it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Hour number 2 officially underway. Hour number 1 down. Got the juices flowing. Got the good vibes in the room. Get a little bit of hydrated here and get ready to go. It's Stubbs Anderson. It's Donnie Rightside. It's the SportsGrid Network. It's Sirius XM channel 159 and a lot more hot topics underway. That's what we love, Dubsy, because usually like Monday, I love it because it's armchair quarterback. What happened over the weekend? Tuesday, you start to push forward, but Wednesday, you sort of want to backtrack a little bit and talk about some of those hotter topics and how you can use that to your advantage this weekend and in the future. And that's what we got set up here for hour number 2.
Let's get after it, Donnie. It is a loaded Wednesday on tap. I feel like I'm out on the tennis court, you know, where you've got that machine just punching balls. I feel like it won't slow down because the headlines continue to surge across, whether it's the NFL, the college football, the college hoops. Don't get me started. Bit of Champions League later today. So no shortage for you sports fans and bettors right here on the SportsGrid. So let's get after it, Donnie. I'm feeling agile. Head on a swivel, any direction. Let's go.
By the way, wasn't much going on yesterday, so I know I might do my commute up here to the city, Dubs. Hit a little Jude Bellingham action and cash in a prop on Jude in soccer. So you know we were getting after it yesterday, but now we get back to the sense and sensibilities of the NFL. Now, buy or sell is a great segment here, but let's set the table here. The better teams in the NFL, division by division. The Buffalo Bills in the AFC East lead it at 10-3. The Pittsburgh Steelers also at 10-3 for the AFC North. The AFC South, 8-5, that's the Houston Texans. And in the West, it's the Chiefs at 12-1. In the NFC, the Philadelphia Eagles hold the NFC East right now at 11-2. The Lions at 12-1 in the North. In the South, 7-6 gets the job done with the Buccaneers and the Seattle Seahawks at 8-5. So let's have some fun with this. Looking at the FanDuel Sportsbook, let's go over the Super Bowl exact matchup odds. I'm going to read them to you, then I'm going to ask you a question. Chiefs Lions, top of the gate. Bills Lions, Chiefs Eagles, Bills Eagles, Ravens Lions. Anywhere between plus 650 to 12-1. So my buy or sell question for you, this year's Super Bowl will be the Buffalo Bills out of the AFC and the Detroit Lions out of the NFC.
Yes, buy. The Buffalo Bills are making their way to the big dance. They're getting through the Kansas City Chiefs. in my guy, Patty Mahomes, and rightfully so. They have been the best team in the AFC. The record, 10-3. I think it is a far superior side from what we have seen there. The Chiefs, I think they're vulnerable. They continue to allow lesser opponents hanging around late in these games. The offense is still trying to figure things out. So Josh Allen is putting Buffalo on his back, and they will represent the AFC. NFC, Detroit Lions, I think they're probably the best team in football right now. Jared Goff, he's having a career best season. You've got Sonic and Knuckles, the 1-2 punch out of that backfield. The Eagles, they're trending in the right direction. The Vikings, they've shown us plenty of promise, but ultimately it is going to be Dan Campbell and the Lions advancing, punching that ticket to the big one. The Super Bowl, what a Super Bowl that would be. Bills, Lions, and we can also get plus 700 there at the FD Sportsbook. So it's a buy for me, Donnie. What about you? Buy or sell?
Now, if I'm betting with my heart or with my wallet, it's two different things. So my buy or sell actually would be the Ravens versus the Lions at that nice, juicy 12-1 price. I look at the record for the Ravens. I say, this team is better with than what the record is. And if Lamar Jackson just has a good playoff run, which I know sometimes is a lot to ask, and they continue to run the football, I think they can be that team out of the AFC, because I do think it's the top three teams for me: the Buffalo Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Ravens. And I think each one of those teams can knock it out to want that highest price point possible. And then you say, well, Donnie, don't you like the Eagles? But I've been with the Lions the entire season. It looks like right now, even though they have a tougher stretch than the Eagles down their back stretch, they're going to possibly be that number one overall seed, as it looks like they are the favorite to do so right now. That's why I do pick the Lions. But if there's a matchup that I want to see, Dubsy, and I want revenge on, it's the Eagles in the Super Bowl, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs. I still remember sitting on my couch at halftime with a double-digit lead, with Mahomes look like he re-injured that high ankle sprain, watching a little Rihanna going, yeah, this is a good night. I'm going to put on another ring for my boys, add another Super Bowl to the back trophy case here, and away we go. And it was disastrous in the second half, which included a tough penalty on Bradbury. Oh, I don't even want to relive it. But for me, Dubsy, that's the revenge game I want to see.
And, hey, the Eagles are flying. We highlighted that earlier in the program. They're not even cooking on all cylinders there. They can unlock that passing game. Watch out. So, Donnie, we've just made a case for four teams, arguably five there, for the Kansas City Chiefs. Do they have what it takes? Are we expecting them to maybe miss a beat going into the postseason? Or is this where they finally batten down and say, hey, this is what we've come to do in search of a third consecutive Lombardi? Is the class going to prevail? And what would it take for the Bills to try and get past the Kansas City Chiefs? Do you just have a team's measure? Do you have a quarterback's measure? You know, we've seen it time and time again. Bills can get him in the regular season. In the playoffs, it is a different beast.
By the way, I'm looking at the FanDuel Sportsbook right now under the section for Super Bowl betting odds on that exact matchup here. I think it's like 75 pages long on the matchups that you can have. Now, I love the FanDuel Sportsbook, but they didn't make it easy on us, Stubbs. Usually they list it as like the best odds to the worst odds, but there's just odds all over the place, like the Buffalo Bills versus the Arizona Cardinals at 340-1. Then you also have a couple, I don't even know if this is possible. The Ravens could match up against the against the Carolina Panthers. Yeah. Every possible matchup, Dubsy. So you can let your heart run wild. Is there a chance that the Carolina Panthers, fresh off another loss to the Eagles, can make a run to the Super Bowl and you could break the bank?
Are they the best team in football right now? Bryce Young, I tell you what, fair play to Bryce. He's playing better. The Panthers are showing a bit of promise here, but they're one win away from being ejected. They'll be right there with the Giants. A little surprised they haven't been booted out there from contention, at least on the odds board. So I guess every possible exact 1-2 matchup that we could still see from the teams that haven't been eliminated still listed there. But no, Panthers are not going to do anything. They'll be lucky to pick up another single victory. I wouldn't be looking past the Rams. If you're looking at the current standings, I think the Rams is as low as I'd go on the NFC side, a team with a bit of firepower. And, you know, I feel like both conferences are very similar. We've got the top two, and outside of that, there's a lot of teams with a lot of question marks. You know, the Vikings the real deal? Could Jordan Love, carry the Packers to a bit of a playoff in the problems postseason? And Seattle, I mean, Gino, he's been playing some really good football. I thought the Cards would get them done and dusted. Now it looks like the Seahawks have a stranglehold over their division.
Even if we take a look and say, because we're trying to say, like, buy or sell, what's your actual best handicap on who those two football teams will be? And then I told you I also know who those teams would be, and then a team that I would like to see the rematch with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. But if I'm being honest, and I say, well, forget about all that. Donnie, what is your most entertaining Super Bowl that you could possibly get out of it? I got to be honest. It just might be the Buffalo Bills out of the AFC. And even though Detroit is the best team for me right now in the NFC, that would be an awesome Super Bowl, though. Like, if you got Bills and you got Lions matched up there, that would be a lot of fun to watch that thing play out.
Yeah, it really would. It'd be up and down style of football, plenty of points, two quarterbacks who are having MVP caliber seasons. You'd love to see it. Eventually, Josh Allen and the Bills, they're going to figure it out. Cannot believe it. They look like a far better team despite losing their number one target coming back in through the year. And the Detroit Lions, they've now won 11 on the bounce. Looking to make it 12 straight. Truly remarkable stuff. Would a loss at this pointy end of the season, Donnie, could that be enough to rattle the momentum of the Detroit Lions? Or would merely just be a blimp on the radar?
Yeah, maybe. Look, there's a lot of football left to be played out, a lot of injuries to happen, and certainly a lot of momentum can be gained. But hey, Dallas Cowboys backers, there's still a mathematical chance you can make the Super Bowl. Bet on it, people, at the SportsGrid spot. Yeah, FanDuel's got it. We're going to talk more football. Jalen Hurts up next.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
I'm actually not even on a side today. Yeah. And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a chance. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.
Buy or sells, people. We're not selling houses. We're not buying houses here. We're giving opinions on the topics that matter in the NFL and the hottest of topics. What's not hotter than the Super Bowl? Who do you think with a couple games left is going to gain that momentum and get to the Super Bowl? Dubs Anderson, Donnie Rightside, we gave you the opinions on that. Now, something more near and dear to my heart, Dubsy, as I like to talk about, and the Eagles are riding high. They have a legitimate chance to actually win this division, which looks like they will do possibly this weekend, or if it's not the next weekend, right into the playoffs at a minimum of a number 2 seed. But now in Philadelphia, it goes from, hey, guys, you won 9 straight games to Jalen Hurts makes a lot of money. That passing game doesn't look great. And I preface by saying this, Dubsy. When I watch games, the passing game isn't there, but nobody wants to see the passing game right now. Because every time you hand the football to Saquon Barkley, it looks like you're about to get an absolute ESPN SportsCenter top 10 play every time, and we love to see it. But Jalen Hurts hasn't been all that he's cracked up to be. And also, just looking at his last 5 games, 165 passing yards a game. You take a look at 6 passing touchdowns to 1 interceptions. That's fantastic. But you got to be throwing you win by throwing the football, particularly in the playoffs. So the buy or sell question to you is, Eagle fans should be worried about Jalen Hurts. Buy or sell it.
Buy, absolutely. The numbers are telling us everything we need to know. The passing game, Jalen Hurts has not been good enough from the star quarterback with the Philadelphia Eagles. The run has been tremendous, but eventually you can only funnel it through Saquon Barkley for so long before he gets shut down. It's just a matter of stuffing the box and bringing that run game to an alarming hold, and that's what we have seen for Jalen Hurts. Obviously, this team, the DNA has suddenly become all about that rushing attack, and you've got to lean on the hot hand. You're getting that with Saquon Barkley. It continues to work, but they certainly need to address this, I guess, lack of chemistry, that spark. I mean, Jalen Hurts, the numbers aren't fantastic. He's probably had more rushing yards. I believe he's had 50 carries over the last 5 games. So if it's not Saquon running it down the field, suddenly you've got Jalen Hurts trying to get it across the sticks there as well. And what's going to get that spark going again? They've certainly looked a lot better. Jalen Hurts has looked a lot better with that no huddle, trying to play that hurry up offense, just trying to get it going where it's more about, I guess, reading what's in front of him instead of going back to that playbook and trying to, digest the instructions coming there from the sideline. So, yes, I think there should be cause for concern. The quarterback play has not been good enough to take this team for a run through the playoffs, through the postseason. They're going to get a much tougher assignment waiting for him. So Jalen Hurts, he has to be better. I think Nick Sirianni has to get him in that passing game involved a little earlier, even if it means maybe taking things away from Saquon Barkley and get off to a slower start. You need these wide receivers buying in. We've seen A.J. Brown. He's given all the smoke. You've got alphas in this locker room, Donnie. They all want to feel like they're contributing to the success that we've seen for the Philadelphia Eagles. And right now, it has been a one-man marching band in the form of Saquon Barkley. They need to address the passing game.
I'll tell you, they need to get at the better start, Stubbsy. They're 11-2 in the season, which means they played 13 games. Do you know they scored 17 total points in the first quarter? That's unheard of, because usually you get ahead and you put the other team behind the 8 ball. The Eagles are horrendous in the first quarter. That absolutely has to change. But here's also the issues that you have in the understanding. Like Jalen Hurts a couple years ago, much more proficient in the passing game. They leaned on it a little bit more. They have one of the best offensive lines in football, the best running back in football. It's easy to get caught up, and you are an athletic quarterback just to be in the running game, and it's been working. But here's the problem that when you sit back, it's not as if the passing game isn't working because you don't have the weapons. You should tell me, is this not the perfect equation? Put Joe Burrow on the Philadelphia Eagles. I know you can't do it. We're just playing hypothetical football right now. You say, okay, you have this offensive line, these 2 wide receivers on the outside, a solid tight end, and the best running back in football. Burrow is lighting up the scoreboard left and right. Who cares what our defense does? That's what's coming down to in Philadelphia. Now, there are games where Jalen Hurts plays well, but there's also games where it's sooner than later, you're going to have to step up. And it's not for lack of opportunity, because sometimes when you put on the all 12s and everybody dissects games left and right, there are wide receivers that are open that aren't getting the football, and that stems from it. So it's up to Jalen Hurts, who also isn't a real vocal guy or emotional guy on the football field where you see so many quarterbacks make their bones as true leaders. He's a leader in a little bit of a different way. But let me ask you this question, because this fits right in to the buy or sell. You're getting a good defense with a really good pass rush of the Steelers coming to town this week. So necessarily it's not like, oh, this is the week that Jalen Hurts goes for 275 plus, 2+ touchdown passes, right? So if we extrapolate and move this game into the forefront, how do you think Jalen Hurts does this weekend against the Steelers here? And also in the notion of, if he doesn't do well, does more panic start to pile on?
I mean, the panic, the pressure, it's going to continue to rise and parallels with the expectations as long as they're winning games. And this feels like a playoff game. And what happens in the postseason? You're going to lean towards that run game. But I think you highlighted, Donnie, that the struggles are coming early in these games. I think Sirianni tries to get that passing game involved a little earlier in this one, and then they can lean on that run game and trying to, get the clock out of the equation and keep the Steelers off the field there. So I think we see maybe a bit of a different look there for the offense to start this game, but don't get it twisted. You cannot abort the mission, especially when it is working so strongly on a Sunday afternoon. Saquon will be that guy. The run game will be the DNA of this offense, I believe, until it doesn't work, until it's not. But for Jalen Hurts, certainly has to be a lot sharper with that passing game. And I think we see a bit of an uptick with his attempts, and hopefully it's early in this one at home. Get that crowd rocking and rolling over there at Lincoln Financial.
Yeah, strong line this weekend, too. And again, we're going to preview that game a little bit in the upcoming segments here, where they're about a 5.5-point favorite here at the FanDuel Sportsbook. But it's a very interesting game and a great game here that's going to take place at 4:25. And yes, we do talk about A.J. Brown screaming for the football. The same thing with Deebo Samuel. Typically, those guys get involved much, much earlier. But as I pointed out, they do have to get involved early. The entire offense has to get involved early. You can't continuously go down after the first quarter and expect to continuously come back and win football games. We'll see if that does change for the Philadelphia Eagles. But a great buy or sell question on Eagles fans worried about Jalen Hurts. If you're listening to local sports talk radio in the city of Philadelphia, Dubsy, it is a nightmare scenario out there with all the information coming back. And again, not in the midst of a 2-11 football season. It's an 11-2 football season for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's been a great run. Let's see if it continues against the Pittsburgh Steelers. More buy or sell next. How about an NFL draft edition? We got you covered.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
I'm actually not even on a side today.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a chance. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.
Oh, yeah. There's some football teams, Dubsy, that are vying for playoff positioning. maybe winning a playoff seed that's number 1, 2, 3, or 4 by getting your division. And then there's other football teams already closing the book on 2024 and looking forward to the NFL draft. And you got some pretty good players out here. So the question always comes up for the health of an organization. Coaching staffs and players don't necessarily want to lose. It's not in their best interest. But general managers, CEOs, and owners of team understand winning a game or two here down the stretch could jeopardize us for getting our next prospect to play quarterback or key positions in order for us to win football games and have players with marketability, which will put more money in the owner's pockets. So, Dubs, I got a buy or sell question for you coming up on the NFL draft. If we list the top 5 guys listed right now to be the number 1 pick, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, Jalen Milroe, and Abdul Carter. Your question to answer is, should teams be tanking for Shedeur Sanders? How about that?
Sell. No team in the NFL should be tanking for Shedeur Sanders. I mean, he's not even the best player on his team at Colorado. He's not the best quarterback coming in out of this draft class. I'm looking at teams like the Raiders, and I'm looking at young quarterbacks like Cam Ward out of Miami there. I think there's plenty more upside coming into the professional ranks from what we have seen from Cameron Ward coming in to this season. He's got that big play ability. He's a creator, and he looks well suited to go on first there into this season's draft. So I'd have Cam Ward. I'd say sell. No, I absolutely do not think that Shedeur Sanders is a must tank and worthy for. I mean, not to say that the play hasn't been fantastic, but I'll put holes through the schedule and a lot of the opponents that Colorado has gone up against. I'd look more towards some of the intangibles with the distractions that come with Shedeur from off the field and some of the carry-on that we've seen before kickoff, after kickoff. That does not scream to me that this is a kid who is ready to make that step up and lead a team in the NFL. I think there's a lot of immaturity that comes with Shedeur Sanders, and the play at times, I mean, has looked very polished, but has also made a couple of silly mistakes, a couple of silly decisions at crunch time there. So I think Cameron Ward is a far better prospect, and that's who I'd be looking to tank my season for, Donnie. But these are professionals. They're not throwing games. They want to win week in, week out. I don't care if their record is 1-11 or what it looks like. They're still trying to win on Sundays. But buy or sell for you, Donnie, should NFL teams be tanking in order to get Shedeur Sanders with that number 1 pick?
It's sort of a loaded question, right? Because I always believe in the tank when you cannot make it into the playoffs. It's in your franchise's best interest. And if you are tanking, you're probably waiting for a quarterback. Now, this question would have hit a lot different in week number 1 if you sort of said, you know what, Andrew Luck is on the way, or a Trevor Lawrence, where you're looking at generational talent coming down the line. Should you just tank all 17 games to get those? But if you are out of it, absolutely you should be tanking. But the question is, should you be tanking for Shedeur Sanders, which is what we asked. So I'm still going to buy it because I believe the tank should always be on the table once you're out of the playoffs. There's no need to win football games. But also with this, you see the price points here at the FanDuel Sportsbook for that number 1 overall pick, Dubsy. One is Shedeur Sanders at -125. Travis Hunter is right behind him at +170. For me, when you're a bad football team, you always have to go quarterback because you need to figure that out. I honestly can't believe a team that's going to be down because who are we looking at? The Vegas Raiders absolutely need a quarterback. New York Giants absolutely need a quarterback, like those 2-win teams. New England Patriots are 3 wins. Obviously, they don't. The Cleveland Browns, who knows what they're going to do at this point, but let's just look at the 2-win teams. They need a quarterback. I can't see either one of those teams, Dubsy, going Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter is going to win the Heisman Trophy. He's the best overall college football player. The translation in the pros should be fine, but I can't take a small, slight wide receiver because he's not playing both ways in the NFL. Maybe, let's just say he plays wide out. So I would be taking quarterback. So I want to ask that question to you here. Will you be taking, let's just say it's between Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. Who do you actually go with if your team needs the quarterback? Do you say, you know what, Travis Hunter's too good, I can't pass him up?
No, Donnie, I think you'd have to go with a quarterback, especially if it's, you know, a team like the Giants or the Las Vegas Raiders. Travis Hunter is truly a phenomenal special talent, the 2-way superstar. We haven't seen anything like it. And at the college level, absolute standout. But it's such a different level in going into the pros, playing in the NFL, as you highlighted, probably not going to have a chance to do both. He's either playing corner or he's playing wide receiver. He does have a slender build, and I think there'd still be a lot of question marks coming into the NFL. So I don't think Travis goes with those first two picks. I think the quarterback would be a must fill, and I think Cam Ward, Shador, they'd be the first two off the board. Travis, what's on the top there?
The ice advice next with Pete Jensen. People, we're talking hockey right here on the early line.
I'm actually not even on a side today.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a chance. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.
Those guys, those rookies, the Pacom Daddies, the Jacob Toppins, right? The Tyler Koliks, those young kids. He wants to get them that check. It means a lot to Brunson. And honestly, folks, it's going to mean a lot to this New York Knicks franchise that's never been back to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals since 1999.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text, put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, like it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the book.
The NFL and college, they don't operate on the same timelines, right? UNLV's head coach just got, the Purdue job this morning, where I imagine, right, UNC probably needs to know from Bill.
And let's say it's late December, and we see 7, 8 teams open, and none of them want Bill. Then Bill's got to make a decision. Does he want to be a college head coach?
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Oh, hour number 2 certainly in full effect. The information is flowing back and forth. We covered a lot of sports already so far. NBA action, college basketball, and the NFL. Baseball updates, but now we need the ice advice. I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Dubs Anderson, and we welcome in Pete Jensen from the NHL Network and NHL.com. Pete, welcome in. We need some help this morning.
What's going on, guys? Yeah, we're officially 2 months into the NHL season, and at 3 coaching changes and counting, maybe. There are a couple other dicey situations going on right now. The Predators, we all expected better. They haven't made a move yet. The Rangers lost to the Blackhawks the other day, so that's upset alert for sure. But so far, Boston and St. Louis, really nice returns for the most part since their coaching changes, and then Chicago made one the other day as well.
Now, we might talk a lot of Matvei Michkov here and center it on the Philadelphia Flyers, but we can't do that, Pete. We can't be regional. We got to be national. We got to hit the ice with a lot of advantages. So I want to talk to you about the Colorado Avalanche so far this season. 17-13 overall. To win their division, that's a 5-1 price. To win the conference here, a plus 550 price. And the Stanley Cup updated at 12-1. What have you seen so far this season out of the Colorado Avalanche?
I've seen them weather the storm. They were missing half of their top 6 forward group or more for most of the season. They had Nichushkin suspended from last postseason. Lehkonen was out. Drouin was out. Every which way, this team was missing, and the man games lost to injury were piling up. They survived that stretch. Now they're getting healthy here, and they're dynamic. We saw it last year in the first round of the playoffs. They were the lower seed against the Winnipeg Jets, and they absolutely blitzed the best goalie in the league, Connor Hellebuck. They're starting to heat up here It's really impressive what they've been doing. They acquired Scott Wedgwood. He's 3-1 since the trade, coming over from Nashville. They traded Georgiev, their clear starter from recent years. They traded him to San Jose, and they got Mackenzie Blackwood the other day. He has yet to step on the ice, but this is an opportunity to buy on the Colorado Avalanche, who, when they are healthy, are one of the very best teams in the NHL.
So, Pete, the Colorado Avs could be the buy low spot sitting there, plus 1,200, the FD Sportsbook. The top three betting choices right now, the Canes, Oilers, and a little Dallas hockey, the Dallas Stars. Out of the big three, the top three threats, who's impressed you so far going through the early part of the season?
I think Dallas is a team to take very seriously. They get deep in the playoffs every single year. They beat the Avalanche last year. Colorado is going to have different wrinkles this year if they meet up again. That Central Division is an absolute gauntlet. I didn't even mention Ross Colton, who was so productive this year, one of the NHL leaders in goals per game, also recently returned for the Avalanche, so they're loaded. But Dallas has the deepest team in the NHL on paper, in my opinion. Strong goaltending with Ottinger. And I think that Dallas has an opportunity here with Tyler Seguin being placed on long-term IR, and he's out for 4 to 6 months. So Tyler Seguin, if you haven't been checking, is one of the highest paid players in the NHL because of what he did, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Was a little overpaid at this point. So that's money that is now on long-term IR that allows Dallas to make a big splash at the trade deadline. So I think they've impressed me the most out of those three teams, with Edmonton or Carolina as comparisons. And then with the opportunity to make a big splash at the deadline, you could also consider a Stars future situation here with their ceiling in the Western Conference.
Pete, let's also take a look at some of the other teams in this odds race to win the Stanley Cup here. Look at the Rangers at 16-1, trading Jacob Trouba away, signing their goaltender. Talk to me about the Rangers. Do they have enough in that locker room to get over the hump, knocking on the door the past couple years? Tell us about the Rangers here and what their prospects might look like the rest of the way.
So the Rangers have had mediocre 5-on-5 numbers for years, and this season included 21st in the NHL out of 32 teams in shot attempts percentage of 5-on-5. So it's kind of one of those things where it's been going on for years. They've been masking it by the performance of Igor Shesterkin, Artemi Panarin, a couple other guys, Mika Zibanejad, Chris Kreider, and Vincent Trocheck. You go back a year, 2, 3 years, these guys have been playing, at the moon over those stretches. Now they've all taken a step back collectively, and New York also doesn't have the depth that it's had, in the past 3-4 seasons either. So all this stuff is snowballing. They did trade Jacob Trouba, try to shake things up with the captaincy. Igor Shesterkin got his big money deal, but now he's got to show up here and carry this team like he has in the past. The Rangers are not down and out for the Stanley Cup, in my opinion, but they got to improve at 5-on-5. They also probably have to make a big splash at the deadline if they're able to finagle it or get someone that is in a contract year that maybe wants to play for them like they have in the past. So I wouldn't write off the Rangers just yet. Now is probably the lowest point you'll ever be able to jump on them from a betting standpoint.
Pete, there's a couple of great markets there for the futures for the hockey bettors. The Art Ross in particular, most points going through the regular season. Nathan McKinnon right now top of the board there. Very similar to Offensive Player of the Year for the football bettors. Is it all about Nathan McKinnon? Could Connor McDavid, could that class prevail? Or what about a Kucherov? What's the season expectations for a bit of a price there?
I mean, it's crazy. At the 2-month mark of the season to see Martin Necas on that board and only a couple points back, of the lead. I know Nathan McKinnon had an enormous game yesterday with 5 points, and of course, Kirill Kaprizov is one of the front runners for the MVP, also in the mix for the Art Ross. So keep an eye on those numbers, like how the Art Ross compares to the Hart Trophy, and you get the bigger number. You could also consider Kaprizov and the Minnesota Wild have been one of the biggest surprises in the entire NHL this season. I feel like now that Colorado's getting healthy, McKinnon is the guy that's probably the safest pick to win the Art Ross, just because he has Rantanen, Cale Makar. He's got all those other guys, whether he's playing with Colton or Nichushkin or Lehkonen or, Middlestad on the power play. I mean, It's what I was echoing from before about the Avalanche. Like, they're live for all these different individual stat awards based on performance strictly. And then, McKinnon won the Hart Trophy last year. Wouldn't be surprised if he ran away with this thing if he won it again, because of how you could spin the narrative, right? Like, Colorado was expected to be really good, but they were really down in the dumps the first month or two of the season with all those injuries around McKinnon.
When you grow up as a kid, you want to score as many goals as you can and make it to the NHL. So we talk about the Rocket Richard Award here, leader with goal scoring. I'm going to ask you a two-part question. Number one, who do you like in that race? And number two, what's that goal scoring number going to be, Pete, in order to win this award?
It's crazy because Alex Ovechkin's still injured. He was almost at a goal per game. Of course, chasing Gretzky, maybe that race is on hold for now. Austin Matthews missed about 10 games earlier in the season because of an injury of his own. And Matthews is a guy that his ceiling is head and shoulders above the rest of the league. So, it's even the playing field a little bit. I'm not saying that Matthews can't come out here and score a goal per game or close to it the rest of the way and win the Rocket Richard at the end of the day. But I think that, like, a Sam Reinhart, who's been incredibly consistent, a Draisaitl who plays a lot with McDavid, like these, remember, this is not coming down to any votes or anything like that. Sam Reinhart's been one of the best power play goal guys in the league, high danger shots and goals past 2-3 seasons. I mean, keep an eye on those guys. I think that the chances of Matthews or Ovechkin winning this award are significantly lower than they were, say, a month or two ago.
Gotcha. We'll hit that coaching carousel quickly here. The Jack Adams Award last year went to Rick Tocchet. Who's a front runner in your mind for that award? And also some coaching changes around the NHL, excuse me.
Yeah, Sacco's making a little case here. I know they got blown out yesterday by the Winnipeg Jets, and the Jets have Scott Arniel, who took over from the veteran Rick Bowness, who retired. He's got to still be the front runner in my book. Spencer Carberry for the Washington Capitals. I don't know that he'll win the award, but maybe if Ovi comes back and they take it to another level, he would have a glimmer as well for Washington. Big surprise.
We got hockey tonight, and Pete's our guy. Let's hit some of those games coming up next right here on the Early Line.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
I'm actually not even on a side today.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a challenge. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.
One segment is okay, but two, that's twice as nice. That's why we needed Pete Jensen to come back and answer some questions for us in the NHL. Dubs Anderson, Donnie Rightside here, having some fun in the NHL. Let's get back to some of these coaching changes, Pete, and also, do you buy into coaching changes where you can change the level of the organization by making that move midseason?
We've seen it many times in the past. Years ago with the LA Kings, they won the Cup the year that they hired Daryl Sutter in the middle of the year. Craig Berube, who's now with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I want to mention that Craig Berube has a case for Coach of the Year this year with his turnaround of the Maple Leafs, and their goaltending currently ranks third in the NHL in team save percentage. And if you've been following the NHL for years, right, the Maple Leafs usually don't have strong goaltending, so major props there. But Berube won the Cup with the St. Louis Blues in 2019 when he took over and they were in dead last in the standings. So the NHL has a ton of parity. We see it time and time again. Actually, the Blues have made a coaching change this season, and Jim Montgomery is turning the ship around, baby. 5-1-1 since the coaching change. A guy to look at in the props market, Dylan Holloway, who's better than a point per game since the coaching change, with 11 points in 7 games and 20-something shots, more than 3 per game. Really nice bump. He's given some guys who had upside some expanded usage, and all of a sudden, you know, St. Louis, maybe they're a fringe playoff team when I had them out in the preseason.
Pete, I want to get your thoughts on the coaching efforts that we've seen from Spencer over there in Washington with the Capitals. Whether Obi's been on the ice chasing another amazing milestone or not, they continue to win. And right now, they're not slowing down, but a lot of pundits saying it will ultimately catch up with them. But what do you make of what you've seen from the Capitals thus far?
I mean, when Ovi got injured and he was shooting a crazy percentage, and McMichael and Dylan Strome and all these guys, Alexei Protas, were playing over their heads, this would have been the time, right, that Washington, you would have thought, was going to regress. But, you know, 6-2-1 in their first 9 games since the coaching change, since Ovechkin's injury, I should say. And they're definitely not making a coaching change this year, because Washington and Spencer Carberry, I was shocked that they even made the playoffs last year with the state of their roster and the decline of some of their top players offensively. But they snuck in. They got swept by the Rangers. Maybe that was a reality check, because they made a ton of offseason moves this year, including bringing in Pierre-Luc Dubois on a buy low situation. He's been outstanding in Ovechkin's absence. Jacob Chychrun also. They got him. We knew that it would improve the team, but I didn't think Chychrun would be this good, like around the goal leaders among defensemen 2 months into the season. So major props to what the Capitals have done, not only with Carberry's coaching, but retooling in the offseason and rejoining the list of the best teams in the Metro right now.
Yeah, good move for the Caps here. Let's get to center ice tonight, Pete, for a little bit of fun. New York goes to Buffalo tonight as a slight favorite, around a -140 price and a goal total of 6.5. What can we anticipate tonight from the Rangers and the Sabres?
This has been, make no mistake about it, a miserable homestand for the Sabres so far. They've blown games. They blew a 4-goal lead to the Avalanche and lost in regulation, which is something that I think has only been done, 8 times in the past 15 years in the NHL, roughly, give or take. I mean, a very rare occurrence there. And then the other night, they were up 5-3 on Detroit at home and blew that game as well, losing post-regulation. So really disappointing. Tage Thompson is back, though. Look at him for a goal. He's got 4 in 7 games since coming back, and he's got a healthy shot volume over that span as well, deep into the 20s in those 7 games since returning. But it just doesn't make any sense, right? Tage Thompson comes back after the Sabres swept their road trip, and then, you know, now losing 7 in a row with 3 regulation losses. So it's a bounce back spot for the New York Rangers. If they don't bounce back here, I'm not sure how they recover from this long term.
The Rangers booked as the favourites there for this evening's matchup, -137 on the money line. Second game for the Wednesday afternoon slate. We've got the Ducks going against the Senators up there in Ottawa. Anaheim got the biscuits in round 1, kicking off early December there. What do we expect to see for this one? The odds makers have got them projected as a very short price favourite here. Is it all about the Senators going against the struggling Ducks?
Yeah, I don't have a great feel for this matchup either way. I will say that Anaheim's goaltending with John Gibson back from injury and Lucas Dostal, who's been low-key one of the bigger surprises at the position across the NHL this season through 2 months. Like the goaltending in Anaheim, any given game can spring an upset or something like that. And Ottawa, despite good shots on goal metrics, like either of those goalies, Dostal or Gibson, can face a high shot volume and prevail any given night. Ottawa is one of those teams that, like, for whatever reason, good metrics, bad metrics, healthy lineup, not healthy lineup, they never seem to take that next step. So verdict's still out on them a little bit. Certainly keep an eye on, these Brady Tkachuk rumors and stuff like that the next couple of months if Ottawa falls out of contention. But sounds like right now it's just noise going on involving the Rangers and some of the players around the league and the player movement that they've already made so far this season.
All right, Pete, let's get down to the most important things in the NHL now, which are the Eastern Conference standings. In the Atlantic, Panthers, Maple Leafs, and Bruins. If the season ended today, they would be 1, 2, 3. The Metropolitan, the Capitals, Devils, and the Hurricanes, 1, 2, 3. But the wild card, number 1 spot, Tampa Bay. Number 2, those pesky Philadelphia Flyers. Pete, give me the straight talk. Is there a legitimate chance the Flyers can be a wild card team and have playoff hockey at the Wells Fargo Center?
Yes. I mean, I had them in the preseason. I was not encouraged much by what I saw through the first month, but if they can get their goalies healthy, if Michkov runs away with the Calder Trophy, which it seems like that race just fluctuates every couple of days. One day Celebrini's the favorite. Now Michkov is the favorite. A couple weeks ago, Stankoven was a point per game. Now he's gone into a slump. Lane Hudson's heating up for Montreal since Patrick Laine's return. So that, race could go any which way. But I do think that Michkov, if the Flyers make the playoffs and squeak in because the rest of the East is mediocre, Michkov has a great chance to win the Calder as a result of that.
Calder to Michkov, Jack Adams to Torres, and away we go in Philadelphia. Pete Jensen, thanks so much for joining us on a Wednesday morning. We'll certainly have you back soon. Major League Baseball talk coming up next.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
I'm actually not even on a side today.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a chance. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball, Dubs. The hot stove. Look, it's supposed to be a little bit chilly here. Actually warmer on the East Coast today than what it normally has been over the past week to week and a half. But we do see big names down and more big names to go. Fried goes from the Atlanta Braves over to the New York Yankees for over $200 million in the highest paid left-handed pitcher guaranteed money in the history of Major League Baseball. So we'll start there once again. I like the move for the Yankees because it's apparent they have money to spend. They missed out on Soto's $750+ million contract, which means they're open for business. They get Max Fried from the Braves, which I think is a strong move for them.
Strong move for them. Plenty of upside. You've got him locked in there for 8 years, a whopping $218 million, the largest ever amount issued to a left-handed pitcher. So a special feat. And what we've seen from Fried in the past is, durability, production, but he stepped up in the big spots as well. So suddenly you've got a 1-2 punch in Gerrit Cole, Max Fried going in to the playoffs in the postseason, and that is going to be a formidable duo going through a new year here for the Pinstripes. So I think it's a fantastic ad. I think it's a classy-looking 1-2 punch, and for Max Fried, what is he, 31 years of age, so the best years for a starting pitcher, still right there in the thick of it. So great addition here for the Yankees, and this is what you want to see as a fan of New York baseball, of the Pinstripes there. You lose Juan Soto, but you pick up Max Fried. So it sort of softens the blow from what we saw earlier in the week there. And this is a great addition, and he's around for a bit of time there as well. So for the Yankees, trying to build something pretty special.
I do like that, too, because you look at, you're always looking in the playoffs, like that 1-2 punch, who can you get? Now you add Fried there to go with the right-hander Gerrit Cole, which is sensational. You have Rodon, Luis Gil, Clark Schmidt, and so on that roster. So the Yankees are building that pitching staff out. Maybe they can add some bullpen work as well, but they do have some pieces that they must add to that 1 through 9 on a day-to-day basis. But if you have $750 million to give to one player and you don't get it, therefore, you might have $750 million to add throughout that roster, which they just spent just north over $200 million. But if we are looking at the FanDuel Sportsbook to win the World Series next year, Dubsy, the Dodgers, no question. This is crazy. The Dodgers are plus 370. The Braves then at an 8-1 price, followed by the Yankees at 8-1. Mets, Astros, Phillies, Orioles, Padres, Guardians, and Twins. A heavy favorite for the Dodgers. Why? Because they also, Dubs, have endless amounts of money to spend.
Is it bad that I'm saying, Donnie, that I'm glad they didn't get Juan Soto? And I'm obviously based out here on the West Coast. The Dodgers are my team, but come on, they've got enough star power, and the odds makers seen it the same as what we saw again for this season, and rightfully so. They've got star power in bunches. They've got the arms. They've got the bats. I expect a couple of changes to be coming through here for the Dodgers as well, and a little surprised that the Yankees sitting there at a bit of a price. So the Braves is that second choice. Yankees right alongside a plus 800. There's some great value elsewhere on this board. I wouldn't touch the Dodgers at plus 370. We'll probably get the same number in 6 months from now, whether they're having a fantastic season or not there. But the Yankees, given the big addition in Fried that we just highlighted, going with Gerrit Cole, and if they can add a couple other pieces, that's a nice-looking price preseason.
No, it is a pretty good price there. And if we're taking a look at some of those top remaining MLB free agents on here, what do you got? Corbin Burns out here, Alex Bregman, Pete Alonso, Teoscar Hernandez, Anthony Santander. You got a lot of guys still with chances to move and make impacts on team. Now, the biggest fish obviously out there was Juan Soto, who does sign and say, you know what? Give me that New York money. I'll just move a couple miles over here. I'll play in this stadium here and cash in. It'll be interesting to see what the Mets certainly do from here on out. But the Mets are taking on money here as an odds favorite at 9-1. Now, Steve Cohen, who just spent getting near $1 billion on one player, they still have some loops that they got to fill in on that roster and see if they can get in. My Philadelphia Phillies at a 12-1 price. The Orioles were that upstart team that people were excited about last year at 14-1. Then we always play with the Padres, the Guardians, and the Twins. So, Dubsy, a long way to go here. Hot stove heating up. Christmas season coming in. Jersey sales have to get out there. So these players will move, but it won't be soon, or excuse me, it will be soon when we start talking pitchers and catchers already. Feels like baseball just ended.
Yeah, it really does, and we get set to do it all again. And look, we think about the Dodgers taking the World Series. Don't forget how close it was going through the playoffs. So if you're looking to jump in and find those early numbers, that board is absolutely abounding with value elsewhere. Could Juan Soto do enough to carry the Mets to be a contender in search of getting that third World Series? Time will tell.
Time will tell, and we're going to talk about that next, because you know why? Hour number 2 is down. Hour number 3 is up next. The morning is only beginning to heat up. Juan Soto talk? Hey, send us $1 million over here, me and Dubs. We'll split it. You won't miss it, Juan. We'll be back. Hour number 3.